All right, my friends, Motor City Comic Con, I was not lying. I am back on stage. I'm still excited to see you guys. Are you guys still excited to be out there? Are you still? All right. So I want you to make some noise. I love talking to this gentleman because there is so much to talk to him about that every conversation is a little bit different. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Whether you are a fan of Encino Man, of 50 First Dates, of the Lord of the Rings, of Rudy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and soon Stranger Things Season 2, make some noise! John Astin!
For the Shire.
Welcome, welcome. How's Motor City Comic Con treating you?
It was good. You know what, in The Lions, the movie that people keep talking to me about, I don't think you said it, and a lot of other cons I don't hear it, but Toy Soldiers?
Yeah.
Like, we're basically in a time capsule here in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's 1989, oh god, there's no TARDIS, but no, I was actually here in 2008 in Novi. I was in Novi and I did this little movie called Demoted, and it was right when the economy was just tanking horribly, so I got to see people at their absolute, most desperate. So it's nice to come back and see people happy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking of your resume, is there any such deep cuts that you even forget that you've done it? Someone will come up and be like, oh, I loved you in this thing. You're like, wait, was I in that?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember today. I can't even remember from an hour ago, but somebody came up and I was there. The Willies. The Willies is a movie that you don't know the Willies. Don't even act like you know the Willies. Whatever you think it is, it's not that. The Willies, my buddy Brian Peck, who was I knew when I was a kid on Like Father Like Son. I never hear about that one.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore. When it was like the first of the 20 brain switching movies that happened in that kind of.
I liked that one though. That was a good one. Yeah.
Well, because
Yeah.
But no, so he said that he was working on a horror movie, and he was friends with, I don't know, one of the great model makers, and so every weekend for 2 years he would shoot another minute and a half of footage. And he asked if I would come out one weekend and be, in this tent scene. So I went to his friend's apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, and it was I wasn't sure what genre we were in anymore, but I'm pretty sure it was legal. But now, whatever, 30 years later, there is still a VHS with that tent with my picture. I don't think I've ever seen the movie, but yeah. So that's one from deep in the catalog, I guess.
So you've essentially just launched the online Willie's fan club. Although I'd be very careful when you search for it.
Well, it just occurred to me, I should have put this together a minute ago, but I was sort of famous at the time for having a close relationship with One-Eyed Willie.
Oh.
So yeah, wow. My friend Brian, over many weekends, assembled this movie. So
The Willies.
take that under advisement.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I've done 4 Christian movies, and so a lot of people who come through the line really respond to those movies. One of them was filmed in Michigan, right on the lake. There's a Native American casino. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Manatee, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, there's a lighthouse there. I did a 20-mile run. I was only there for a few days, but I did a 20-mile run, running back and forth between the lighthouse and the hotel. It's stupid, but I was training. So yeah, gorgeous place there, and so I hear about that. I don't know. There's so much.
Well, and I guess it's something of it's not really a serious question, but maybe it is. I think a lot about the heroes that we dress up as and we love and come to the conventions to talk about. And in recent years, there's been this idea of, in order to have a complicated, nuanced character, a hero, that automatically translates into dark and gritty. And yet, looking at your movies and the movies that I love of yours, there are complicated characters with nuance who are heroes and can be heroes with heart, you know? And they're shining examples, really.
Yeah, I mean, in any one experience with an interaction with someone a guest at a con or con goer, but anyhow, someone will want to talk about how deeply moving Lord of the Rings was, and at a powerful time in their life, what it meant to them, and help them get through something, and or their when their loved one was really ill, or like it speaks to great big ideas, and it's powerful. And then they'll go, and I loved you in 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
So you're like, we are complex creatures who are capable of great joy and deep introspection at the same time. I mean, when you were talking, I thought you were I can't wait to see Wonder Woman.
Saw it. It is the best DC expanded universe movie that I have seen. I think Gal Gadot is great. The great thing about it, and I'm excited for you guys to see it. I'm actually not even supposed to be talking about it, so don't put it online. I'm not supposed to put out any reviews, but the dynamic between Steve Trevor and Diana, they nailed it. They nailed it. He is a hero in his own right, without being sort of a milquetoast kind of character. He lets her, he supports her heroics.
He's a supporting character.
While he's also a hero in himself, like an adventurer himself. It's really,
to me,
really
what I was
good.
thinking of was, Linda
Carter
played Wonder Woman in my childhood with her little gold band shooting off the things above the plastic plane, And as a little kid, that really was powerful to me. I loved watching Wonder Woman. And this, now they've got this kind of mythology that they come from, and it's so rich and it's so deep. I don't know if I would have even thought to try and go there. I would have been just trying to figure out how to make the plane look better. But somehow, like I said, we human beings different things can exist in our mind and heart and spirit simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever going to take that Linda Carter performance with her beautiful long legs and her hair like that. And I can't wait to see this new kind of deeply rich mythological epic. So yeah.
It's a hero of hope. But I see that in a lot of the work, and I'm like, is that ever been a conscious decision of this character is a hopeful character or is a likable character? And
Lord of the Rings, when we got down to do Lord of the Rings in New Zealand, I had read 150 pages of the book. So I went to Dimmicks. There's a couple of different book chains, stores, whatever, in New Zealand. Dimmicks and Whitcoulls. And Whitcoulls is kind of I don't know. It's just a little more, kind of basic. It's just kind of basic. And Dimmicks is the kind of higher end one. So I went to Dimmicks and bought everything that you can buy, every version, the Ian Holm audio version, the Ralph Bakshi movie, everything you could get. And I all of a sudden was really concerned because the portrayal of the hobbits and a bunch of those things is kind of bumbly. Oh, I don't know, Mr. Frodo, what I'm going to be doing. And the hobbits burst into tears, and they're always, they're so emotionally available that they, there's just, I think, a fair reading of the hobbits that's just a lot more, I don't know if diminutive is the right word, but where the innocence is even, I don't know. But I did not want to do that. I started getting really worried. I thought, I didn't know what I was signing up for. I just knew I was going to be a part of this epic experience. And I didn't know if Peter Jackson really wanted us to be the kind of hokey hobbits. And he did a little bit of that. You can, Merry and Pippin, they kind of do some of that. But it's also, their comedy is linked to the drama too. Pippin knocks the bucket over, and it's he's doing that great face where you're laughing, but then the cave troll comes in. So they link those things. But I just wanted to I wanted to be badass. I wanted to be tough. I wanted to be a hero. When we finally did a sequence where, Sam is hitting the orcs with pots and pans, right? To me, it wasn't I'm the comic relief of this sequence. It was I'm going to show Peter that I can beat the hell out of these stunt guys just like he can. So I guess in that sense, there was definitely something organic inside of me that didn't want, and it might not even been, it's people really are complimentary about the fact that the vision they had of the books when they read them in the 60s and early 70s, that even though it's not a 100% faithful adaptation, that it captured the spirit of those things. And I'll confess, maybe here for the first time in my entire life, I don't know that that was as important to me as like not being made fun of was. And I think ultimately what is kind of borne out by that is that desire to be strong and stand up and want to be a hero. Like, you can tell in a camera, when the angle's there, and you kind of learn, you look off in the distance, and then you look at the monitor, you can tell if that's a hero shot. Like, I want to be in a hero shot.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, even though Sam is there's more humility in Sam than there is in Sean, there's like, it comes through. Like Sam, that's the strength of Sam. Like he doesn't want to be, disregarded. I guess I don't know what the right word is, but so I think a conscious thought of what you're. First of all, thank you for a good compliment, but a conscious thought about that, and then also just instinct of wanting. Rudy's a Midwest movie. I had a lot of guys in Michigan shirts came up and asked for Rudy signatures. I'm just telling you what I saw, brother. They might have gotten it to put on the
Rudy movie, not the Michigan t-shirts.
Oh, really?
You're booing the Rudy movie?
Yeah, because it's like we're in enemy territory.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
Enemy may be strong, but that movie, like there's a thing that runs through a lot of the things that I do that I think reflect who I am as a person. Like to build a career, you kind of have to bully your way into it. I have every advantage in the world, and yet it's still impossibly hard. So I think that comes through in the work, and I hope that. And then the one other thing I would say about the kind of intricate, complexity and that you're describing there, and kind of hope-filled nuance that you're describing, like each movie, each story, each character has its foundation, its essence, like what it wants to be. So I'll find myself on a set, like fiercely defending my instinct for what like the thing in itself wants to be, even if it's a goofy, comedy, Adam Sandler comedy. You want to be the best. You want the comedy to be as good as it can possibly be. So I think there's a commitment to, a quest for excellence. I think there's always a quest for excellence, and the result you get is what you're describing. I think. I don't know. I'm only 46. I'll take it another 20
I
years.
know, right? Let's take a question from the young person that's sitting down. Hi.
Hi.
So I wrote it down so I wouldn't mess it up.
That's good.
Cool.
One
So
of those town hall meetings. I'm Don Lemon. Go ahead with your question.
So I want to become a costume designer, and working with actors is obviously an essential part of that. So when you work with your costumer, what are things that you like and don't like about the exchange, especially in movies that are really costume heavy, like Lord of the Rings?
Wow, what a great question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can hear, but she wants to be a costume designer, and she's wanting to know what the relationship between the performer and the costume designer can be. What a great question. The most important thing, like above all else, is you'd like to know that the costumer really has a vision. The danger is that the costumer's vision and the actor's vision may diverge, and the kind of that negotiation, the way you kind of honor that somebody had a thought about something, and like wanting to kind of make sure that your vision is communicated, it's professionalism is one thing. But like when I get for 50 First Dates is one, I walked in, Ellen was a costume designer, I think was her name, and what the script I agreed to do was I played I can't remember what it was. He was kind of like, I pictured him as a redneck kind of truck driver guy, and that was my audition. I wore a Carhartt in the audition, and I wasn't thinking about Hawaii, and I walked into the wardrobe room, and there were these like mesh shirts, bumblebee tight shorts that like, you know, leave nothing to the imagination. And I walked in and I was literally like, okay, I get what we're doing now. And clearly she had the conversations with the filmmakers. So you're in a tough space in that you have your vision when you read the story, research, you know, you really want to have the best ones are the smartest ones and the most clever ones, costumers who know to, like, if you're doing a period piece or if you're doing something that they've really researched it, they've pulled photos that look like it, and they have like a relationship to it. You know if you like zoot suits or if you don't like zoot suits or whatever, and then you got to go to the filmmaker, and the filmmaker is going to tell you what they want, and you have to, you know, really internalize what they want. And then when the performers come in, it's a really hard job actually, now that I think about it. It's a really hard, because then the actor has to be happy, you know. A lot of times you'll start out probably on lower budget stuff, so you're pulling things and you're having to return them. The mechanics of that is so annoying, like, you know. And whether the actors always want to keep their wardrobe, and so you're in a financial bind, that's a real thing. You're like, actually, I can't give you this costume, it's part of the thing. And then they wear the thing home and they never come back with it, so. I'm not saying I did that with Lord of the Rings. Okay, I'll say it, I did that with Lord of the Rings. But anyhow, I wish you real success. And everyone, there's a moment when the director goes, ah, and there's a moment when the actor's like, and you want to fill that space with, oh, what about this? What about that? So here's an idea. What about this idea? No? And you have a deep bench of ideas. Those ideas, that creativity, and then there's just the professionalism. So, but you're gonna, just even asking that question, I can't wait to work with you. It's gonna be great. Check my sizes beforehand, because I gotta go up and down in weight, but that's a different story.
Thank you so much. Wait, okay, but follow up to that is, you didn't actually wear it home, though, did you? Your Samwise costume?
Well, it's a metaphysical question you're asking. Like, where is home?
back to your apartment in wherever. Did you walk off set in the costume?
Sure. We were working long. It was a non-union shoot. We were working pretty long hours, and I'm trying to think. I may have even worn the feet home once or twice. We're like, I'm coming back here in 8 hours. So like, why do we go through the thing when you're gonna like so uncomfortable with the feet? So. But no, we definitely wore it. Yeah, I might have thrown a little overcoat over it so it wasn't too obvious, you know. Probably didn't stop at a restaurant and, you know.
Like, look at this!
Remember, this is before the internet. So I remember when we first started filming, there were guys like long lens photographers up in the hills, and they were trying to get a peek at what the actors in their costumes looked like. So we had to wear these things with hoods over them, and our hobbit feet had boots on them, like these moon boot things, and we'd have to kind of like shuffle in your feet when you slide out. And we were like, I don't know, we were the, what do they call it in magic? We were the prestige. You know what they call it in magic? Like the reveal? Yeah. Like, yeah, that was us. And you know, protecting the images was important. But it wasn't like now where you go, click, global.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't even know what would happen now. I don't even know. It's weird.
It's near impossible to keep so you see it happen, but it's impossible.
Well, also because the actors take pictures and put them on their own sites. You know, on Netflix I just did the second season of Stranger Things. I hold those until Halloween, and you know, keep it in reserve. I'm trying not to screw up a beautiful thing, but Netflix came out and they were like, it was a legal thing. It was a legal thing about taking pictures and not doing it, and they were really kind of stern about it. And they said it in a way that was pretty cool, because with Lord of the Rings, what it felt like when they took our pictures and they wanted to, or when they were trying to protect us from those, you know, they were actually print journalists. Now, for those of you here who don't know what that means, there's a booth with Detroit Free Press. You can actually hold these. It's paper with words on it. But I definitely got the sense like, oh, we're a product. Like this, the iconography of Sam in this costume with the backpack and the sword. Like this is the currency. This is what New Line is investing $300 million in, and they have to protect that. That's their product that they're creating. With Netflix, I think it's the same thing, but what they said to us was, we really want to protect the fans' experience of the show. And even if people are, really religious about saying spoiler alert beforehand, it does like seep something away from it. I mean, you guys are all sophisticated audiences, and you know the actors who are doing stuff, and you track who gets hired and things. But for most people, it just kind of it passes by in a blink. And kind of like politics now, you can ruin someone in one moment. It's easy to ruin. It's hard to build something. It's hard to create something. It's hard to build a reputation over time. It's hard to protect a vision of a show, but it's easy to wreck it. And we're so kind of innately cynical of a species, not in terms of like wanting to be mean-spirited, but we you see something and you develop an opinion about it. You can't help it. And if it's a shot of whoever it is and they look, whatever their state of being is, like that goes in. So, it's nice to be able to, and I love meeting fans who, they don't want to hear about stuff. They really want their experience protected. They don't mind, like they really want it to come out, but they don't mind waiting. In fact, they'd rather wait than have it gypped for them. It's the like, do you want to know what you got for Christmas beforehand or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyhow, that's a long answer.
Do you find that there's an appeal to the Netflix model because with something like Stranger Things, with a traditional movie, let's say Wonder Woman, you have to roll out trailers and publicity stills and and then teasers to the trailers and etc. But with Netflix, since they're dropping it all at once, they can and they're not reporting or dealing in the same kind of ratings games as traditional TV goes, they can kind of alter the way a show is marketed as well, and then just say,
true for the flagship shows.
Well, it's like one trailer and then here you go.
I think with Fargo, isn't that Netflix?
No, that's FX.
Is that FX?
Yeah.
There's just been a couple of them where you could tell the executives had skin in the game, and so their publicity machine was cranked up just a little bit harder, so it would be a little more reminiscent of a classic kind of studio release of a film. But I just can't believe that we're at a place now where, and it's glorious, where you can do a 9-hour movie and drop it, and the audience is right there with you. They want to live, So I don't know about their how much money or how they market it.
No, yeah.
You would know more from your perspective than I do, but I just they care about Stranger Things a lot.
Yeah.
And so I get this sense. I don't know if there's going to be Comic-Con. I'm sure there'll be a Comic-Con presence. I don't know.
And I meant that as a compliment, as far as they strategically rolled out a trailer. I think it was a Super Bowl, a trailer.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah.
And then there will be another one, but I like that they're not showing too much.
Do they do press junkets like normal?
There will be junkets, yeah.
But there's something different. You're saying it's qualitatively different than.
Yeah, it's because it's just they're not having to show so much right up front. With traditional movies, they have to roll out so many trailers to hit the core audience.
Because they're competing. I see what you're saying. A movie is competing with sports. It's competing with the news. It's competing with network television, and
automatically that box office shows you this is how much we made, whereas Netflix
knows you're coming to their house and they're like, this is what you can see. Well,
yeah.
Awesome.
It's an interesting, different dynamic.
Awesome.
Hi there.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Richard. I'm with the Coast Guard Air Station up at Traverse City, and we were involved in your movie, The Surface. How did you decide to do that? I mean, it was such a fascinating movie. We had a little screen on base because it was our helicopter and our guys.
Well, hello again.
It was fun. I mean, it was a great movie, but it got very little publicity. But how did you decide to
It's
do
on
that?
though. I just saw it on it's on something. It's on one of the networks. I mean, I was at home and I was flipping the channels and it was like, oh my gosh, it's like you made it. An audience could see it if they wanted to.
It's a great movie, and with the story, basically the character decided to go out and commit suicide on the lake. I mean, how did you decide to do that?
Well, so for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, The Surface, it's a movie, the title is The Surface, and it's set entirely on Lake Michigan, or the first 10, 15 minutes is in Milwaukee, and then it's basically just a two-character piece, where my character is going to commit suicide. His father died in an accident he feels responsible for. The mom has advanced Alzheimer's, she's very old, she doesn't recognize him. and he's just come to a not impulsive, like a considered decision that he just doesn't want to be alive anymore. So he takes his dad's old ski boat from the 70s, and he's going to drive to the middle of Lake Michigan and commit suicide. And when he gets out there, he runs over the debris, right as he's about to do it, he runs over the debris of a Cessna had crashed earlier that morning. And the pilot is clinging to one of the floating wings. And so my character pulls, instantly goes into help mode. He's like forgets about the suicide thing, and he pulls the pilot in, and the whole movie, and then he's going to go take him back to the shore, but the prop got knocked off of the little ski boat when he ran over the stuff. So they're stranded in the middle of Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is big, and they're there. So it's 90 minutes of me and Chris Mulkey talking about life. And I played Little League with Gil Cates, who's a legend in the television world. And he actually directed my mom's. You guys know my mom?
Yes.
Yeah. Patty Duke, for those of you who don't know, she's beautiful. I love her. Everybody comes through and compliments her, which I love. But his son, we played Little League together. And he called me up and he said, do you want to come and do this movie on the water with me in Milwaukee? And that's all he said. That was a full sentence. Do you want to come do this movie with me on the water in Milwaukee? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, great. So what's it about? And he tells me the story. And I was like, every actor, journeyman actor, and I consider myself a journeyman actor. One day you're above the titles and a hero in a big movie, and the next day you're number 27 on the call sheet. You've got a little dressing room that you can't even turn around in, and you just keep moving forward. But I think everyone wants to do. You hear stories of what it's like to film in the desert or film on the water, and it's really hard. It's really hard because everybody gets nauseous and moving around is difficult and the logistics of it is hard. So I was like, oh, that'll be my water movie. I'd love to do that. And then when I realized the kind of gravity of the subject matter, I was like, it was just a thrill. It was an absolute thrill to do it. And every night we'd go to the War Room at the old hotel there, the Governor's Hotel or whatever it's called in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's badass. I love Milwaukee. And we would lay out the script pages because we didn't have time for rehearsal. And we'd go, you'd have like 15 pages. The only other thing that's like that is soap operas. Soap operas shoot, and it's like a fire hose with the camera. It's just going the whole time, and the actors are almost, reading it off a teleprompter. And so, but we were learning these 15 pages of dialogue the night before and kind of building it and defining it. And the Coast Guard. Did you say you were with the Coast Guard?
Yes, we were told you only had one take with us.
Oh, yeah. The Coast Guard story was awesome. So they said the night before the Coast Guard thing, we're going to have a briefing at the pool on the hotel. So my character wasn't going to have anything. I was in the boat, but I wasn't the character who gets hauled up in the Coast Guard chopper at the end, in the basket or whatever. So I show up at the briefing, and they're like, okay, and they had guys with to go in the water. They were going to demonstrate how to be carried away and everything. And Mulkey's been around a long time, and he's looking at me. He's like, yeah, I get it. No, we're good. And they kind of thought, all right. And I go, what do you mean? We got to go in the water. And I dove in the water. And they're like, okay, Sean's in the water, whatever. And I got out of the water. I kind of swam to one side and came back, and I'm like, so. Then the next day, those things only have so much fuel.
They only had about 15 minutes over the water.
Yeah. So they did 2 takes with Chris, and they had said to me if we have time, if we have enough fuel, if the movie will allow it, you can have we'll let you come up in the bucket. And they'd done a few laps in the air, and then finally did it, and it looks fantastic in the movie. I mean, that guy who goes into the water and the swimming and the thing with the bucket, just awesome. So when he goes up there, and Lake Michigan is cold. I don't know if it's cold. It's can't breathe, cold. And so when Chris goes in there, he's got his wetsuit on under his thing. I didn't. And he goes up in the thing, and they start to go back, and he apparently leaned forward and said, hey, what about my little buddy? And they were like, okay. So they radio back, and they're like, Sean, they said you can go up if you want. I'm like, I'm ready. I was like, hey, can you hand me the life preserver or whatever? And they go, if you want to go, you got to go right now. And I looked, and I wasn't, and we had like a pontoon boat that they were filming from, and I was like, "Woo!" And I got in the water, and I was like so cold, so I started like swimming to the thing, and you go through the rotor wash, you know, and you're under there, and the guy comes down, and you get in the bucket, and oh my God, it was like.
We have some great photos on base of you doing that.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Thank you.
Anywho, we really appreciate the Coast Guard doing this movie for us. They added the entire production value. The rest of the movie cost like $1.
Sounds like a cool stage play though. Like a
you could do it.
play.
You absolutely could do it as a stage play. But you know what? Lake Michigan was the star of the show. Do you know what I mean? Like being out there, literally filming on the water with all of the tides and the sun and the sky, the clouds and everything like that. That was, I don't know how you would do it. Like I don't know what you'd do if it was on a stage play. That was, and we were sunburned. We'd come in at the end of the day and the glare off the water. You'd think like, oh my God, I want to go blind because and we were just like sunburned. So I feel like if I went into agreement with that too easily, I'd be disrespecting my co-star Lake Michigan. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Sean. My question is an ordinary acting question. I wonder if you'd mind if I recorded your response.
Say it again,
My question is an ordinary acting question. I wonder if you'd mind if I recorded your response.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. In regard
Raise your hand if you've recorded any of this. You're good company, bro. But now that I know it's recording, I'll sort of sit up straighter and like really think about my answer.
It's very polite of you to ask, too.
In regard to Sam's great profound monologue, if there's something good worth fighting for, could you speak on presumably having read all 3 books by that time, and can you talk about how your preparation and the direction of that particular scene was special for you in relation to everything else from the 3 movies?
Okay, thank you for that very good question. A weird thing happened after we finished filming all 3 movies. Principal photography was one block. We did the whole thing as one movie. Any day we'd be filming stuff from the beginning and the end. So once we were finished, I think it was early spring, we were all flown to France, to the Cannes Film Festival. And they rented out this castle, and they put on a Lord of the Rings event. And it was like the best produced party I'd ever seen. I mean, you know, they had all these warriors out there, all the elves were kind of standing guard, and there were things, and they had rotisserie, like, you know, it was just an incredible evening. And they showed the, 20-minute teaser to the world reporters, the media, and understandably they went crazy for it. They loved it, and all of a sudden we didn't even have a film at the festival. We kind of like swamped the festival with our presence there. From that moment on, it was like it wasn't the same experience. When we were making the movie, we were in a bunker. We were in the trenches together. And everything that we did, all the dialogue, all the camera angles, all the travel, everything that went into everything, we did it together, and there was no one else. It was just us. You know, you'd be on the top of a mountain or in a parking lot with a little camera and a couple of people, Peter Jackson and one of the other characters, and they kind of retrofit the bog, the swamp, Midgewater Marshes or something, and you'd be doing that. And it was very much like, a student film. We were just there by ourselves in a parking lot. Now, once they introduced it to the world media, now we were like instant pop culture quantities. So then after that, once they had assembled the first movie, and we were going to go back and do a few months of pickup shots, you show back up and you get into the feet, you get into the costume, you put your cape on and the elven brooch, and you're like, I was on the cover of Premiere Magazine. Like, Movie Line rated us the hottest, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We did every talk show known to man, you know what I mean? It's like, and here you are, like, I couldn't see the spider anymore. That's what I tell people. We did a scene with Shelob where I'm fighting Shelob, and I was always really, really like the bestest at looking over, and I could see whatever was gonna be a computer-generated character, my imagination, and like I just could see it. I could see every contour of it. And there was a moment after all the publicity where I like can't see the Spider-Man. I can't, my imagination is busted from all of the thinking about it from outside of the movie. So that came out, and then, that came out. No, it came out December 19th, 2001. September 11th happened a couple months earlier. And in the months after it first came out, the filmmakers were trying to figure out, the world had changed. The film landscape had changed, and this was a movie that was dealing very, obviously with the nature of good and evil. And it's what the world was like really agonizing about, the nature of good and evil. And so they went back to try and find a passage in the books that would speak to that issue in a way that really kind of hit home. And they came across that speech, I think I understand, Mr. Ford, it's like the great tales, folk in those stories had lots of chances to turn it back, only they didn't, they kept going because they were holding on to something that whole, the incredible speech. And I think they initially gave it to, they tried it with another character, and they tried it with another character, and then they're like, no, we gotta give it to Sam. So, I got, do you know what a fax machine is? So they faxed through. I had to get a fax from the doctor for my kid thing the other day, and they're like, we need to fax it to you. My wife and I looked at each other like, huh. Call the tech guy, see if there's some way to do it on the computer. And there was. But anyhow, so it came through on the fax machine, that scene. And I was looking at it, and I got up. We were living in this really small, it was 3 bedrooms, but it was almost like a tiny little apartment, our little house we were in. And I look at it, and I walk down the hall. I think we only had our daughter, Allie, at that point. Elizabeth hadn't come along yet. And I said, I'm gonna get an Oscar. She goes, for what? I go, read this scene. And she read it, and she looked at me, and we were like, oh my God, you get to be the instrument that communicates these ideas to the world. So when we went back down to New Zealand to do pickups for the 2 towers, there was a whole new sense of gravity and purpose because of 9/11 and because of the way the world experienced the first Lord of the Rings. That when it came time to shoot in the Osgiliath ruins, which was some polystyrene blocks in a parking lot, we did the scene, and I think I sort of did it well from the beginning, because your mission in that moment is to get out of the way of the ideas. The ideas are everything. And whatever emotion is happening with you, you just have to try and protect the ideas. And so we got it, and Peter was happy. He was like, great, let's move on. I was like, Peter, can we do it one more time? He goes, sure. So we did it again. I was like, can we do it one more time? Sure. And I just kept wanting to do it over and over and over and over again. I just kept asking for another one. I want to do it again. I want to do it again. And at this point, the first film had made over $1 billion. So it wasn't like money was really an object. They had other stuff they wanted to shoot that day, and Elijah was like, dude, you got it. I think you got it. I'm like, no, I want to do it one more time. And so we finally did it. In that moment where you pull them up, and what are we fighting for, Sam? That there's some good left in this world, Mr. Fun, it's worth fighting for. Like that moment, you just knew that it was not about me. It's really about something in the core of our spirit. Something that our current political leaders don't speak to. And I know where I'm sitting right now. So we all need to recognize the power of those kinds of words and those kinds of ideas and what they mean to what we mean to each other saying them. So as a performer, it wasn't like I went into my dressing room to think about prepping for that scene any differently than I had done everything else, but the cumulative kind of sum of my life and the total, you know, spectrum of what we experienced making the movie, and then the way the world absorbed the movie and responded to the movie and what was happening in the world. That's what was going on. That was what was preparation for me. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And just to add, that previous question about Heroes of Hope and seeking that's it. I mean, that's exactly what you're speaking to again. So that's it. Unfortunately, we are running down on time. I think we can do one more question if... Sure, okay, so here's a question for you. If you keep it to yes, no questions and we do a lightning round, we can move through these, okay?
Exactly, yes, no. I just am not going to answer it until you just question,
Yeah.
question, and then whatever I can remember from those questions, I'll try and answer.
Okay, so...
Yes, I'm Craig from the Motor City, old fan, and I wanted to ask how you feel that growing up with Patty Duke and John Astin has affected your acting.
Totally.
Hi.
Did you have any football experience prior to filming Rudy?
I played flag football. My mom, counter left, that was the one play, they kind of let me score a touchdown, and my mom was like, no, you're too small, you can't play it. And I was like, oh, Mom, come on, thank God she said that, I'm going to get killed otherwise.
If you play any other character on Lord of the Rings, who would it be?
Aragorn.
Is your eldest tattoo easily viewable, and may we see it?
Say it again.
Is your eldest tattoo easily viewable, and may we see it?
It's on my ankle, so I don't want to show right now, but it's on my ankle. You can see it online. Thank you. But yeah, it really hurt, but I love it. I'm proud of it. Yeah.
So, Samwise Gamgee's accent is one of my favorite accents in all of film and television. I'm an accent nerd. I'm also an actor. Very briefly, what did you do to prepare for that?
Dialect coaches. We have the best in the world.
Okay.
And the hook for my accent, it's a Wisconsin, and so they got a farmer to record a sentence. And whenever I was kind of like not in the accent, they would play this sentence for me. It sounds more like Dumbledore than Samwise, but it's well, that's a nice shiny apple.
Thank you.
If you could play any of the villains on Lord of the Rings, who would it be?
None of the ones that had to wear all those like prosthetics. And Denethor was pretty fantastic. Is he a villain? I don't know. Grime on Wormtongue? I don't know. I'll get back to you in 10 years on that. No more questions? Nobody else come up? Yeah, I mean, you guys can ask them right there, but just nobody new.
Yeah, no new ones.
Okay, go.
Are you a Terry Pratchett fan, and what did you think of playing Two Flower and Color of Magic?
When people ask me what, she's asking about Terry Pratchett, who wrote the Discworld series. He's just a profound science fiction, fantasy, satirical, like philosopher, writer, and he just passed away a few years ago. And The Color of Magic is the first in the Discworld series, and I got to play the signature character, Two Flower, and it's one of the great experiences of my life. And meeting and spending a little time with Terry is cherished, and he's just, you would all do yourselves well. Just read the prologue, the one-page prologue of The Color of Magic, and then you're going to be off to the imaginative races for a long time. Okay, last two.
Are you going to miss recording for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
That little louder.
Are you going to miss recording for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Am I going to miss recording Raphael as Ninja Turtles? Okay, sorry, I think I might be going deaf. I really am. We're finishing up our 7th season. One guy who came up to the table yesterday was a savant about it, and he said, "Will you do your signature line?" And I said, "What's my signature line?" Sewer apples. Sewer. Come on, Mikey. Sewer apples. Yeah. Stop talking and start fighting. So yes, I will miss it. It was really a privilege to be able to do that. I love doing that. Yeah. And Banicula, you guys.
Screams really well.
Thank you so much for that. Banicula is another one that I'm in, and I just got. Oh, I can't say. I was just cast in 2 more like high-profile animated shows, and so stay tuned. Yeah, last 2 questions fast.
What is your favorite scene in Lord of the Rings?
Favorite scene, kissing Rosie Cotton. My wife, when I say that, my wife Christine, of 26 years, looks at me like, really? You have like 12 hours of movie, you gotta say that one? I'm like, it's funny, people like that answer. So I also like carrying Elijah up the mountain. That was pretty good.
You still have your Hobbit costume. Do you ever try it on for old time's sake?
Really not. Everybody, thank you. Well, I've always wanted to come to Detroit City MotorCon. I want to run in the Detroit City Marathon. I love Michigan. I love Michigan. While you disappoint me sometimes, I know where your heart is, and so I'm always happy to come back here. Thank you for being so warm at the table and being so generous.
And there's still time to go say hi to Sean. He's heading back to his table, so go check him out over there.